Hey folks, Amber Bradaway here. Great to see you again. Sorry it's been a little while since my last update, but wow, I'm so excited to be up mountain today. I'm here with Ian Riddell, our Senior Patrol Manager. A lot of you know him from Solitude Chatter. I have to tell you, in all of the 2 years that I've been coming up this canyon, I cannot believe how incredibly beautiful it is right now. The intersection of the fall and winter seasons is truly spectacular. We didn't have that those first two falls here, but with the snow on the peaks, the beautiful reds and orange in the lower canyon, and then these amazing aspens, it is truly glorious. By the time this post, we'll have just wrapped up our summer season. Really appreciate all of the support and feedback on opening our inaugural Gravity Logic Bike Park. We know we opened that. We worked really hard to get that open, and it was not in perfect condition. We know that. We were good with that. We really wanted to get it out there so people could see what our terrain, our soil, our topography, and also where the future trails are going. So thank you to everybody that's been coming up this last month. It's been an incredible blast, and a real shout out to our team members that helped pull that off.
Absolutely.
So Ian, here we are. We are up Lower Dynamite, and you see some interesting pieces of machinery behind us. So what we wanted to talk to you today is, you've gotten a lot of information this summer on our Eagle Lift project. You've seen some incredible videos. You've obviously followed us on our Gravity Logic. One of the projects that we've been working on that's really important to the resort, but we haven't been able to show a lot about, is what we're doing to manage our avalanche terrain. And so behind us, we have these devices called Wyssen Towers. These are the boxes, and Ian's going to talk a little bit about that. But Ian, I think one of the things, we talked about this in the winter on Chatter, is how much of the Solitude terrain is impacted by avalanche?
Right. So, hello everybody. Yeah, so that's a great question. You know, here at Solitude, we're surrounded by avalanche terrain. Right around 75% of our terrain here is impacted by avalanches. So it's avalanche terrain or next avalanche terrain that impacts other areas. So yeah, it's a tremendous challenge for us getting the resort open on snow mornings when an avalanche hazard going on. It takes a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and we remember in the winter we talked about this with having, you know, 3/4 of our terrain being impacted, pulling off those 8 a.m. lifts. Remember, we did the switch from opening Eagle back to the Moonbeam. But even there's terrain at the top of Apex that's impacted up in that Wanderer Bowl. And I think that's one of the things that not everybody realizes about Solitude, is just how much of that terrain. And until very recently, in fact last year, all of that terrain for us was managed by humans.
That's right.
By people like Ian and Doug Catherine. Doug Catherine is our avalanche mitigation manager. He couldn't be here. He's actually working on this project up mountain, but has been really instrumental. And so all of that 75% of our terrain requires individuals with packs going out, throwing hand charges.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
So last year we made an investment, and Ian and Doug were instrumental in helping us get into the technology. And some of you guys have seen this. Other resorts have different devices, and you've probably seen a lot in Little Cottonwood with different technologies that exist to manage avalanche terrain, one of which includes Remote Avalanche Control Systems, or RACs. And so what we're really excited, and Ian's going to talk more about today, is we went from one of these last year on the Fantasy Ridgeline to now we're going to have 4. So Ian, talk to us a little bit about RACs. What are they? What are the benefits? Why are we putting them in? And then how's your team going to manage them?
Sure, no problem. So yeah, a RAC is Remote Avalanche Control, and there's different devices that would fall into that category. There's GasX is one brand that is a RAC, and that delivers gases that go into an exploder that can be detonated remotely to help create an explosion to help start the avalanches and mitigate the hazard. Another system is, well, along with the same brand of GasX, is Obalex, and that's a device that gets flown in, puts on a tower similar to the Wyssen Towers, that has a certain amount of charges based on the gas system as well, that they can deploy when they need to remotely. We're using Wyssen Towers. It's out of Switzerland, and it's a rack, it's a tower, and then these boxes that you can see in the background here, they sit on top of that tower.
This is the box right here, right?
This is the box right here, and this will hold explosives in there that we're able to remotely deploy out of the box, and it creates an air blast over the snow surface, to initiate the avalanche. So yeah, this is another rack. And there's a couple other brands that make racks as well. The Avalanche Guard, which we don't really see in the Wasatch, but this product here, the Wyssen Towers, this is being utilized over at Alta, Snowbird, and by DOT in Little Cottonwood Canyon. And Solitude's the only place that has this product in Big Cottonwood Canyon. Up the road at Brighton, they have Ford GazXs. So it's coming mainstream for resorts to start using these racks at their resorts to mitigate the avalanche hazard.
And Ian, talk to our guests a little bit. Why put these in? How is this going to change either operations and or change the impacts on your team?
Yeah, that's the beauty of these racks. You know what it means is that Amber mentioned earlier that typically patrol fills a pack full of explosives, 2-pound hand charges, and we deploy them manually, these charges, to initiate that avalanche off the ridge. Now we can do it remotely through a device, and we can initiate an explosion without having to expose our workers to that avalanche terrain. So we're delivering a larger charge, which is going to cover more area. So we're going to be able to do it quicker and use less of these hand charges. So that actually lowers the hazard for our workers up in that environment. So. And directly, there's a plus for our guests too, because it means that terrain, we can get that terrain open quicker than normal, faster, by being able to move through these avalanche routes at a faster pace.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things. So here we are, we're now going to be up to 4 of these towers. They're all on the Fantasy Ridge, correct?
That's correct, the east face of the Honeycomb Canyon.
So east face of the Honeycomb Canyon, is that traditionally one of the more difficult ridge lines?
Yeah, it's 1.5 miles of avalanche terrain that 3 patrollers generally go up with hand charges and mitigate. So it takes about 4 hours. It depends on the conditions, of course, and how many targets they're going to hit that day. But yeah, it's really it's going to be it started as a game changer last year with the one Wyssen Tower that we had, and it was super successful. Yeah. And then we've invested into 3 more this summer, so we'll be utilizing all 4 this year.
And Doug and Ian have come up with a plan for, we don't think 4 is the end. We are going to be working with trying to secure capital investments to continue to put in more of these as they make sense for our terrain. But you know, one of the things when you think about that Fantasy Ridgeline being 1.5 miles, I mean, you know, those are experienced patrollers. It's not our first years. They have to really know the terrain. There's a huge physical component. We've talked about this last year on Chatter. You guys got to see Ian's pack. It is heavy. This is like a 30+ pound pack. Yeah. And just, you know, how physically taxing that is on our team. And so we're really excited about this. So, and as Ian said, this is some technology that you've heard a lot about over at Alta. They've put in a lot of these at Alta, at Snowbird. And then UDOT is using on the Little Cottonwood.
Yes, they are.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. And they're planning on installing more as well. The DOT is, I believe, next summer if all goes well. But yeah, it's they're next door. They're in the Little Cottonwood, and now they're in Big Cottonwood.
Yeah. So here are these boxes, Ian, and you said, so what's going to happen here? The chopper is going to come in and pick these up and put them up on the towers?
That's right. Through this halo here, comes in, picks it up. We have another device that can attach to help the helicopter. And then they'll pick it up once it's fully loaded and drop it, gently set it down on the tower, not drop it on the tower, and then they can release it. So we need to be here, boots on the ground, for attaching the connection point from the helicopter with its cable coming down, and then it can release it remotely when it sets the box on the tower, so we don't have to be on the tower to receive it. So that's so nice.
And about how many charges per?
12.
12 charges.
This will hold 12 charges.
And what happens after 12?
So as we identify that we're getting low on our charges in there, we start looking for a good fly day. So a weather window where we can schedule a helicopter to come in and then do the reverse. Pull it off the tower, bring it back down, put it on the ground, and then we can reload it. And then they can come back just a couple hours later, reconnect, and then put it back on our tower. So yeah, we just look for a good weather window. We track how many shots each one of these has in it. which is easy to do. There's a digital platform for that, so we know exactly how many we have left in there. And yeah, we just look for the good fly day and schedule it and reload.
One of the benefits is that we've been able to, Ian and Doug have been able to coordinate this with partnership with our colleagues over in Little. So through the whole construction process, as well as securing choppers for reloads, the idea is hopefully we can try to coordinate that with others. So we're doing it together, and that's a real advantage.
And it is, and basically everybody's trying to reload in that same time period, so it works out very well to try to coordinate the helicopter time so we can achieve our goals all in the same time period. And it's efficient by doing it that way.
Okay, so by the time this posts, again, winter will have wrapped up.
I did want to mention another thing.
Okay.
If we look at these boxes, we've got a light on top of here, which will flash before before we do a deployment, before an explosive goes off. And we also have something new this year. This was already on here last year, the light, and then now we have a siren. And each one of these boxes have a siren. So as we have backcountry users in the vicinity, it allows us to put out a bit of a warning to folks that might be traveling in the backcountry that these boxes are going to go off. These are below the ridgeline. They're on they're at Solitude Mountain Resort, but they'll still be quite loud if people are traveling in the vicinity. So we're trying to just give out a warning to people that are traveling through the area. Hopefully they're not there at all during those time periods, but if they are, we're trying to go the extra mile here and just give people a heads up. We're also going to have some signs at the Grizzly Gulch Trailhead over at Alta, where many people head on up into this backcountry terrain. There will be a sign that alerts people that we have these on our ridgeline at Solitude, and they may go off at any time that we choose to, but they will be notified by this siren and lights.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to get that message out there, folks, that these are loud devices, that you're going to want to make sure you cover your ears if you're anywhere near it when these charges go off.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you caught that. So the signage at Fantasy Ridge, Grizzly Gulch, and then the Twin Lakes passes.
That's correct.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So summer's wrapped up. By the time this posts, it's going to be about 2 months to opening day. You've already seen the snow up here. The temperatures are dropping. We've got the guns out.
Yeah.
I've seen them out already.
Guns are out.
Firing them up, making sure they're all in good shape. Our staffing is looking strong. So, folks, I just want to say thank you so much for an awesome summer. We cannot be more excited to get open here this winter. And I look forward to seeing you on the hill here in November. Thanks, Ian.
Oh, you're welcome.